I also want to thank Senator Wilton Simpson. This is his district, and as Senate President, he's been a big champion of this, particularly supporting our springs and doing a lot of septic to sewer conversion, which is going to make a huge difference in water quality because of the runoff that we see from septic tanks. I also want to thank Speaker Chris Sprowls for all his support for Florida's initiatives to make sure that we're protecting and improving Florida's water resources. Now, a couple months ago, we went to Brevard County and announced $114 million for 16 wastewater improvement projects with a focus on projects benefiting the Indian River Lagoon. And these awards were the first projects funded through the Wastewater Grant Program, which provides grants to improve wastewater infrastructure in specific areas of the state, including within a Basin Management Action Plan, which we call BMAPs. The Wastewater Grant Program was created when I proposed and the legislature enacted and I signed the Clean Waterways Act of 2020, very important piece of legislation for our state. It included a wide range of water quality protections aimed at minimizing the impact of nutrient pollution, including the septic tanks as well as agricultural runoff. We also realigned resources to enhance protection of Florida's environment and, of course, took efforts to safeguard our water resources. Now, last session, we created a dedicated funding source for the wastewater grant program, ensuring consistent funding to improve wastewater infrastructure and reduce harmful nutrients across the state. This year's budget included the first of the dedicated funding, which made the announcement in the Indian River Lagoon possible. But of course, we didn't stop there. In addition to state funding for the wastewater grant program, thanks to support of the legislature, including President Simpson and Speaker Sprowls, the state was able to allocate $500 million to the program, making today's announcement possible. Today, through the wastewater grant program, we're awarding more than $394 million to 72 wastewater treatment projects across Florida. These projects are primarily focused on wastewater treatment improvements, including many septic to sewer projects and upgrading treatment to advanced wastewater treatment. And it's amazing what they can do as you get these improvements to do the advanced wastewater treatment, and we've done that, and we can have DEP talk a little bit about that. All the projects funded through the wastewater grant program will reduce nutrient pollution in key water bodies across the state. The 72 wastewater projects are expected to reduce total nitrogen statewide by more than 619,000 pounds per year. That's a lot. That's a big deal. Florida's home to, of course, the best springs in the country. Weeki Wachee Springs is historic. It's phenomenal. And this is one of the deepest known freshwater cave systems in the United States. Our springs can support entire ecosystems. Of course, they offer great recreational opportunities, and they serve as economic driver for communities because people want to come. Our springs also face complex threats, including excess nutrient pollution. And so what we're doing with the 28 Springs project, that is expected to reduce total nitrogen by 70,000 pounds per year just across 28 projects. So again, that's a really, really big deal. Since I took office, my administration has taken historic efforts to support Florida Springs. We've dedicated $225 million to efforts to achieve restoration goals, and we will continue to provide resources to restore our springs. We also have the small community wastewater grants. Those are for fiscally restrained counties and rural areas of opportunity. Just out of that $20 million that we're putting into that, you're going to reduce nitrogen by 24,000 pounds per year. So that's going to make a huge difference in those rural communities and the fiscally constrained communities. So we appreciate the fact that from day one of our administration, we've really been proactive. We've been on offense. We've been racking up a lot of key victories along the way. I had said that we were going to do historic funding for Everglades restoration and water resources, and I said we're going to do $2.5 million over 5 years. We've already done through 3 years over $2 billion of that, and so I think we're going to end up with far surpassing even my ambitious promises, because a lot of people said it just couldn't be done. So we're going to be introducing, we're going over my budget for next year right now. I'll be making some announcements over the next few weeks, but we will do a strong environment announcement, and I think people are going to be really, really impressed with the progress that we're making. We also like the fact that we do have these dedicated funding streams. Now, every year for wastewater, we also started the Resilient Florida program. We put a lot of money into that anyways to seed it, but then we have a dedicated stream of revenue going into that. So we're really taking all the important issues and we're addressing them, and I'm really happy because I think this is going to be a big deal for Florida, and I want to let some other folks come up and say a few words. I want to thank Sean Hamilton for all his hard work. This is when we're doing all this, it's not an easy job because you have something every day that we're pushing for, very high paced, and he's been a wonderful leader for the department. So Sean, you want to come up?
Thank you, Governor. And I must say the governor, when he says high pace, I think that might be an understatement. I think we reinvented the word pace. But first of all, it's great to be here, right, to take another step as we look, to invest in water quality restoration throughout the state. As the governor mentioned, he made the environment a key priority. Ours within being in office, dedicating 2.5 over 4 years. And like I said, we're well under our way. But I think what's important is to make note of this provides, an important resource, right? The capital to invest in these projects that will make a meaningful difference over time and get us well on the way to do more now for our environment. So as a result of the governor's leadership and these resources, we're making meaningful strides. The projects he talked about, there's a lot of partnership that went into these projects. But if you think about 103 wastewater and various projects throughout the state, that is a big jump towards starting to make meaningful difference in what's going to be a complex and challenging issue that we'll have to work through as, for the years to come. So as just kind of going over a little bit in detail what the governor mentioned, $481 million additional funding announced today. This includes federal wastewater funding and federal springs funding, which will support 103 projects throughout the state, as I mentioned. But again, some of those are going to vary from advanced wastewater treatment, bringing these utilities to what I would consider the new age, connecting septic systems throughout the state, and sewer upgrades. There's amazing technology available to upgrade sewer systems for on-site treatment. And then also land acquisition to provide key buffers to some of the springs like you see here today. So this also includes $13 million award to projects right here in Hernando County. And I think I can't thank them enough for their partnership. It's those type partnerships that will be crucial to our success as we continue to endeavor along this road. Right now, by the numbers, we're expecting, for this project to fund the conversion of 224 homes just here in the county alone, but also set the stage and create infrastructure to be able to target the remaining 3,000 that are still remaining here in the county. Again, important steps to the long road to recovery of some of our key resources. And so again, in closing, I just want to thank the county again for their support and again, being great partners. And I look forward to working with them as we continue to do more to protect Florida together. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Raines.
Well, thank you for the introduction and thank you for the invitation to join you on this historic day. When Governor DeSantis took office in January 2019, he laid out a bold vision for our water quality future and then quickly set about to undertake that vision. Executive Order 1912 had a lot of provisions, one of which was creating my position, the position of the Chief Science Officer, also creating the Blue Green Algae Task Force with whom I work closely. The task force, if you're unaware, is 5 independent world-class scientists who are charged with using the best available science to help the state better understand and overcome our myriad water quality challenges. Their recommendations in the consensus document of October 2019 formed the scientific foundations on which Senate Bill 712, the Clean Waterways Act, and other changes to policy, practice, and procedures have underlain. And all of that leads us to where we are today. I mean, the projects that are being announced here today are exactly the kinds of projects we need. They will result in demonstrable water quality benefits. And with the securing of long-term funding, we can see these not just as an endpoint, but as a new beginning. And so I look forward to working with Governor DeSantis and all our many stakeholders as we continue to secure our water quality future that we all desire. Thank you.
All right. So today is November 9th. What is in 13 days? Tell them what's in 13 days.
My birthday.
Her birthday, November 22nd. So how old are you going to be?
5.
5 years old. And what do you want to go see here before we leave?
The mermaid.
The Mermaids. So we're going to work on getting her to see some of the Mermaids. And she's seen them before. And what do you have? Remember you told me what you got from the Mermaids last time?
A wallet.
A mermaid wallet. So she likes being here. So we're looking forward to her turning 5 and happy to be here. Take some questions if you guys have any.
Governor, what does improving water quality mean for the local communities like Fernando County, not just statewide, but even down to your little girl here?
Oh, yeah, no, this is what Florida's quality of life is all about. This is what our economy runs on. I mean, people come here. You look at this. This is not, you can't find this anywhere else in the country, really. So this is unique. We're blessed to have it, and we have a responsibility to leave it better than we found it. But I do think it's an economic driver. But even apart from that, this is just really integral to what these communities are all about. And so I recognize that having grown up. I grew up in Pinellas County. We made our way to Weeki Wachee Springs when I was a kid. I remember doing that, and I'm sure someday you'll be swimming in the springs. Would you go swim in the springs if we took you with the Mermaids? Yeah, so she would do it too. So we'll do it, and it really is special. Yes, sir.
Governor, there's several infrastructure press conferences going around in the Tampa Bay area today. You were asked, we heard your answer yesterday about the infrastructure bill, but what are some of the top projects that some of this federal money could help with?
I don't know. I think we're going to have to see. I mean, one of the things, obviously, I'm not in Congress. I was not apprised of everything in legislation. One of the things I am concerned about, which I think people should look at, is it seems like there's like a disproportionate amount of money is going to like New York and New Jersey, and that Florida is not getting a really significant share out of over, $1 trillion. I mean, they're saying we're going to get, 20 billion? Like that's not a lot compared to how big, the state is. And so I'd like to know more about that. Is Florida being treated well in this, or are they basically funneling money to a bunch of very, very high tax and dysfunctional states? Because if you look at what they did with the COVID money from this year, Florida got penalized. We got penalized because our economy was actually doing much better than the lockdown states. So we got less money than our population. And look, we'll make do with whatever, but if you're going to do money, then it should be done fairly. And we got less than our population. Other states that had more lockdown and high unemployment, they got more money than their share of the population. And then to top it off, what they did was they said, okay, if your unemployment is within 2% pre-COVID, you only get half the money now, and we're going to send you the other half next year. So we used some of the money, but we don't even have access to the rest of it. So I hope people will look at that and provide some analysis on how does Florida make out compared to these other states? Because I think if you're somebody that's elected to represent Florida, the last thing I think Floridians want is to funnel their tax dollars to New York and California. They're actually talking about doing massive tax cuts for wealthy people in New York and California by doing this SALT deduction, which basically benefits high income tax states. I can't believe they would actually do that, but I think they're trying to do it. So doing what's best for the country means treating folks fairly. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see what exactly is in store. And I'd also like to know what's the bureaucratic process for some of this stuff, because some of this stuff gets ground down in the bureaucracy. I think what we've tried to do in Florida with our work program is move as efficiently as possible. When we had disruptions in COVID, we made up for it and actually gained some ground on some of the projects. And then, of course, my Job Growth Grant Fund is very good because it's very nimble, and I can go, and if there's big projects that are being done, I can put a few million and get us over the hump. And I think we're going to continue looking to do that to really make an impact, and we already have.
I guess one of the funding sources is that they're going to provide money to provide reparations to communities that were broken up by Interstate 275. They say it's a big example.
I'd have to look at that. I mean, I heard some weird stuff from the Secretary of Transportation trying to make this about social issues, and to me, a road's a road. I mean, it's not. So I don't know. I mean, I'd have to take a look at that. Okay, well, we appreciate this. This is really exciting. I think it's going to make a big difference for springs and water quality all throughout the state of Florida. And I think we're on a hunt to try to find some mermaids, right? All right, let's go. Come on.
What's her name?
Madison. Yep.
Have a good day.
See you guys.
Thank you, Secretary Amundsen, for coming.
No, my pleasure.
Mr. Spock. You'll always be Mr. Spock.
Okay, not quite as long of a press conference, but still just as important. Weeki Wachee Springs in Florida is one of the most interesting places in the state that virtually nobody has heard of. It's right up here. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Weeki Wachee Gardens. As you can see, what they call basically the trigger part of Florida, if you think of Florida as a handgun, right here, this is some of the most beautiful water you have ever seen. It is really, really incredible. It's where a live spring meets the ocean, and I pulled up a couple of pictures just to give you guys an idea about these springs in Florida. Super clear water, just stunning. It's just something you wouldn't think existed. They tried to recreate it in those of you who watch me on Twitch at night when I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There was a DLC, an add-on, where they created an Atlantis type of remake, and it looks a lot like this. So it's so you live. So some people in the chat live over there can confirm it is absolutely gorgeous, breathtakingly gorgeous. And of course, there are the stories of mermaids. Now, a lot of them have to do with the Weeki Wachee Mermaid show, which is where the governor's daughter was so excited to go see. But there's also and just some images from that here. That would be a tough job because they have these, there's little pipes, flexible pipes underneath where they stay underwater and they have to go over and breathe. But even then, anybody who's tried to do that knows. Here's an image of that now where they literally stay underwater the whole time in these suits. This would kind of freak me out, honestly. If I didn't have my legs free, their legs all tied up in these mermaid suits and swimming upside down and all this kind of stuff, that I just no way I could do it. There's no freaking way I could do it. But this is the, original mermaid right here. The manatees. And we have them over here on the northeast coast of Florida as well. St. John's River is full of them. Green Cove Springs, there's kind of the St. John's River is kind of strange. Let me see if I can, but if you have a chance, real quick, if you ever have a chance to visit this area of Florida, it's not very populated. It's kind of out in the way. You might, Crystal River, somebody asked about Crystal River. Crystal River's up here, just north of there. Very sparsely populated, and as you can see, when you really get up into the curve, it's very Spartan, but let's see if I can find it. The St. John's River is very, very wide. In some places, it's probably half a mile, at least. And especially right around Green Cove Springs, I can confirm, if you go out here on the piers at night, just watch for the birds. All you got to do is all of a sudden you'll see a bunch of birds hovering over a certain area, and then you'll see bubbles, and then all of a sudden you'll see one of these. So it's, I wouldn't recommend getting in the water and interacting in any way with a manatee. They're perfectly fine on their own. So I just wanted to share this today. Not the end of the world, so to speak, type of video, but definitely important, because one of the things I think that gets missed a lot with the governor, a lot of conservatives like the fact that he holds to conservative and constitutional values, but to win in Florida, we have to continue to take over the planks of the platform of the left. They talk about infrastructure. They talk about education. They talk about healthcare. They talk about all of these different things that are important to them. The environment. Okay? And those things are important, but the way they react to them is horrible. There are ways to fix things. One of the first things the governor promised when he got elected was that he was going to secure Florida's water resources. And that's super important. The environment has been one of his pet projects. We do healthcare our way. We do education our way. We do the environment our way. We do infrastructure, what he was talking about here, our way. The conservative way, the right way, the way that's based on thought. It's not that what the left is concerned about isn't important. It is important. You just have to approach it from a different way. You have to take a different tack and a different strategy. This is a mistake that a lot of conservatives make. They don't even want to talk about issues. They don't even want to talk about issues that the left calls their own. This is what our governor does. You reach over, you grab that issue, you educate yourself on it, you realize why the left is screwing it up so badly, and then you figure out a right way of doing it. And that's how you win. You see, the left won't do the opposite thing. The left won't try to reach over and concern themselves with the priorities of the right. Because why? Because we're a bunch of deplorables. We're a bunch of uneducated idiots, right? Let them keep thinking that. Let them keep thinking that. Let them keep doing, being all high and mighty. That's going to be their undoing. Look what it's done. Look what it's done recently. If you took the approval rating of both President Biden and Kamala Harris and you combined it, it's like 66%. It's horrible. And Kevin McCarthy and both Rick Scott echoed the same thing. Please, oh please, let the left keep talking about the previous president, keep calling the people on the right a bunch of idiots and a bunch of morons and demonizing Florida. I would love it. And I'll leave with this. I wish I would have brought up a picture. Somebody on Twitter had alleged that, I know, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she saw Nancy Pelosi on her flight on her way down to Hobie Sound, Florida, to look for a home to retire to. Now, some people said, when she comes here, we should arrest her. No, absolutely not. You see, this is what happens when I don't look at my chat. We have people that think that it's their chat to take over, flat earthers, and one second while I block somebody. This is what happens. I don't look at chat for 5 seconds and it gets taken over by people who want to, they're called seminar caller. They're seminar chatters. They come here and they want to change their own, change the whole topic to their own pet one. But anyway, Nancy Pelosi. I would love nothing more than for Nancy Pelosi to retire here and have a camera on her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and show pictures and video of her lounging by the pool or the beach or having fun and shopping and smiling and enjoying herself. Do you know what that would do to the millions of leftists in California? A picture of her actually being blessed and happy and fantastic and living life. That would destroy the entire worldview of millions of people. Eating ice, yeah. See, some people, oh, arrest her and charge her. No, have her come here, have any leftist come here, really, and enjoy themselves and be happy. We got video of Don Lemon. And as I've mentioned multiple times before, Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, the leads for MSNBC, they live in Jupiter. It's okay, Mystic. Don't worry about it. It's just when you get to a certain channel size, people, instead of building their own channels and trying to create their own thing, they try to parasite off those of us who have. So it's just part of the idea of growth. You'll have flat earthers, you'll have Nibiru, you'll have what's the other big thing that they try to push? Oh, Nizara, Gizara, all that bullshit. All the Trumpers, all the lazy ass Trumpers that realize they can't grow on their own because they're one trick ponies. It's just part of it. So anyway, but as I had mentioned in another video, I don't know if there was a live or a video that I mentioned it, I have kind of gotten everything set up for the music studio. And I have another guitar on the way, an 8-string guitar, which is kind of a rare one. So I have a rare 8-string, a baritone, a standard 6-string, and then I also have a drop D tuning guitar. So with those 4 and the microphones all set up, probably going to start in a couple weeks, working on getting some Christmas music out that sounds actually better than just a smartphone and me sitting on the couch. So anyway, but I would like to leave a warning out there, and I don't really have a good image to share with you, but I'll show some ones from WikiWatcha here. Guys, I know a lot of your friends and I know a lot of your buddies have made a bunch of money in the crypto markets. And like I said, a few years ago, it was a good thing to get into. And a lot of people have grown their portfolios huge. It's 10 times as much, worth 10 times as much now as it was just a couple years ago. So if you put $1,000 in 2 years ago, you have $10,000 now. And some people think this is, a big deal. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it's getting ready to drop. It's getting ready to collapse. Because there's too much speculator money in it. It's too overvalued in dollars. A real actual currency that would be worth long-term investment in would not have grown this fast. There's a lot of pump and dumpers. I know it sounds like a horrible way to say it, but they're pumping it now and they're going to short it. And when it goes, there's a lot of people out there that have a bunch of investment in it and they're going to lose their ass. They think they've got, because they've been reinvesting. There's people out there I know that have 60, 70, 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 US dollars worth of coin, and it's going to be worth nothing. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because the signs are now all in place with the US dollar. So, it's going to be one of those things I've counseled. Nobody is ever going to save or prepare their way out of the future. You're never going to prep your way out of the future. You can't save enough. Because the idea of prepping means that you're going to try to prepare to get over a hump, so to speak. Meaning that I'm going to save 6 months worth of this, or I'm going to save a year's worth of that. Okay, but what happens at the end of that year? What happens at the end of that 6 months? It doesn't matter how many dried beans you have. You can't eat dried beans. You can't eat Mountain House for a year. And you can't eat gold either. And you can't eat silver. Because when shortages start to happen, food, water, fuel, shortages start to happen, I don't care how much gold you bring me. If there's been no groceries for 3 months and I still have food and you have a giant pile of gold, guess what? You're going to have a giant pile of gold and I'm hanging on to my food. That's true. You know what? Great point, Norris. Great point, Chuck Norris, with the black and gold. I've noticed this too. I have noticed this too about expiration dates. I've gone and opened some things and I'm like, why is this bad? I didn't get this that long ago. Watch your expiration dates. So, anyway, I won't bore you on too much more stuff, but upcoming music, get out of Bitcoin. Let's hope Nancy Pelosi moves here. These are great ideas. And skills, talents, and knowledge, Ed Kua, exactly right. Things that you can provide for those who do have. Even during the Great Depression in this country, there were people who had money. There were people who had money. And it was just a matter of getting it from one place to another. Get yourself a handwell, darling. Darling Dar. Get yourself it's not hard. It's not an expensive thing. Get a hand pump. Get a hand pump. I'm thinking about actually doing it out here in the back. Getting one of those handle pitcher pumps. It's a little bit of work, but believe me, we used to go camping a few weeks out of the year when I was a kid, and the campground that we were at had nothing but a pitcher pump. And so the first thing we did when we got there is we brought these big 5-gallon cans, and me and my buddy went over, and we would, sit and hand pump these things and bring them back to the campsite. 50, 60 gallons of water for a few weeks. But anyway, so yes, have skills. Flowers in her hair, have skills that other people might need. So anyway, beautiful day here in Florida. I still have some stuff I have to go pick up from that giant windstorm that hit us last week. It was a pretty big blow. It took down fences and trees and everything else. So anyway, your well is 250 feet deep. Where are you at, darling? Or is that Darlin Dar? Your water well is 250 feet down? Holy smokes. That's deep for a water table. Of course, I'm used to Florida. That's unbelievable. Are you up in the mountains or something? I've never heard of a water well that deep. You need a... What do you mean you can't use the water in and around Florida? Wait a minute. Hold on. Now, hold on, darling Dar. I was born and raised in northern Indiana. Unless there's some weirdness going up in northern Michigan, I know for a fact the water table in southern Michigan is nowhere near that deep. Because I help buddies pop wells. I think maybe 30. Are you sure it's not 25 to 30 feet deep? That sounds really, really deep. 250 feet. That's a football field down. Okay, that sounds, 30 to 60 feet. That's okay, Flint's fine, whatever. Okay, that makes more sense. Are you sure it's not 25 feet down? Cat Stevens, 800. You have an 800-foot water table. Yeah, I was just saying most water drilling equipment only goes to 50 feet. Wow. Guess I'm learning something new. That's crazy. I've never heard of getting water that far. I mean, that far down. Well, Vermont's mountains, that I get. That I completely get. Yeah, usually most of the wells that I've ever heard of are 60, because the pipes come in what? They come in 8-foot sections, 10-foot sections. And I've known a lot of guys that pop those pitcher pump wells with sledgehammers. So anyway, but yeah, that would be my, I guess if your well's down 250 feet, you're probably going to have somebody come out and put it down. But yet another reason to get out of the north and get to Florida, because I'm pretty sure I could go out here in the backyard here just behind the enclosure and probably in at least one long day. Yeah, okay, west central Indiana. Water table's around 30 to 40 feet. But your well's 175. Okay, you see, that's the problem. With 175 feet, you would need a major league pump to pull it. I don't think you could hand pump from 175 feet. You'll never lift that amount of water with a hand pump. It's just too heavy. You would need a major league, 220 volt pump. Okay. Your well is 50 to 60 feet. That makes sense. Okay. All right, we're back in the real world here. So, yeah, but it's good for you, Debbie. It's good for you. Just get a filter. I drink Florida water all the time. I live in Palm Coast. And you get used to it, and it's good for you. It's so good for your skin. It's good for your health. That'd have to be a pretty tiny pipe, Gamma Light, to pull up 175 feet of water. Because you're right, it is sulfury, but man, some people, and I still get this to this day. People think, Florida Maquis, you're too young to know this, and this. You young people need to be quiet. I'm like, I'm 51. I'm going to be 52 years old. No, you're not. You don't sound anywhere near that old. I'm like, well, thank you, I guess. On a 1-inch pipe, maybe. Do the math on the weight of 180 feet times 1 inch. It does. Well, it's funny, Black Dog, because honest to God, and the reason I brought this up is I'm not really bragging or complaining. I'm just saying that at 50, I feel a lot better than I did before I came here to Florida. I have old injuries from the military. And my story is not unique. I know a lot of people that have come here to Florida and have had this same story, that it's not the fountain of youth and the fountain of immortality, but all of a sudden, little aches and pains go away. And you get more energy. And you just feel like time has stopped. in certain ways, in certain aspects of your life, your voice is one of them. It's a very, very strange thing. It doesn't happen right away. It doesn't happen in 2 weeks. It doesn't happen in 2 months. But after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's not just the sun. It's not just the sun, because I spend a lot of days inside doing YouTube. It's not just the sun. The sun, of course, does help. That's true. But I'm not out at the beach every day. Like I said, I'm a YouTuber. There are days that I'm in here in front of the damn computer 10 hours a day. Especially when I was doing the Antarctica videos. Do you know how long it took me to find all that stuff? Hours and hours and hours of scouring Google Earth Pro at 50-foot level to find all that stuff. It's the water and it's the air. I'll be very honest with you. It's the water and it's the air. There's something different about it down here. The water, the air, and yes, the sunshine does help. Absolutely. The sunshine year-round helps. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. Up north where the permacloud is, that is a killer. That is absolutely a killer. Living downwind from Chicago, that's a killer. Downwind from Gary, Indiana, that is a killer. And it is incredibly, it's hard to explain. It's very, very hard to explain down here. It just changes. I can actually sing better now. I haven't been in practice, but with the way my voice feels, than I could 15 years ago. Bigger range. I would never go back to the Midwest, not under any circumstances. You probably wouldn't find me leaving Florida seriously, you wouldn't find me getting north of Jacksonville for any reason, not willingly. I'll tell you what, there have been a lot of really great musicians come out of here. The Bellamy Brothers. I'm a huge Bellamy Brothers fan, by the way. So I'm thinking about doing some of those songs. Sawyer Brown, Brazil, Racklinger. If I had to leave Florida, Santa Catarina, Brazil, southern Brazil, would be my next stop. Nowhere in the United States. This is the last stand of liberty. So, and I'll tell you what, if you haven't been to Brazil, put it on your bucket list. There are places in Brazil where you'll think you walked back in time 1,000 years. It's just that easy. Darling Dar, I know it's hard. At some point, the North is going to make you miserable enough. Believe me, I wish I would have done it earlier. I wish I would have done it years and years before I did, even if it had been harder. I wish I hadn't worried about people. I hadn't been afraid of what if this, what if that, what if the other. You could come down here now with no skills, and you could get a full-time job working in restaurants, in construction, in all sorts of different service industries, waiting tables, bussing tables, barbacks, and you could work all day. Work all day and make plenty of money and do just fine. Life might not be as easy that way. But even I wouldn't even live in Tennessee at this point. Because I'm going to make this prediction too. I know I'm kind of rambling here. But be careful, those of you anywhere near and around Tennessee. There's a plan. And it's coming out of Nashville. Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville. Are you kidding? Tending on boats? They can't find enough people. Seriously, there's so many job openings down here. They are planning to flip Tennessee. A lot of people didn't see Georgia coming. The next target they have is Tennessee. Mark my words, they're going to try to flip it blue. Because they have kind of weaseled their way into the positions they need to be in. If they have to cheat, they will. And it's an ugly thing to see. It truly is an ugly thing to see. They are targeting Tennessee. To work on a boat? Cruise line jobs? Are you kidding? They are all over the place. Just do a little research. Them flooding. If anybody's coming to Florida, they've already made up their mind, Rocklinger. Nobody's coming to Florida and flipping Florida. You see, conservatives have the right. It's not just about masses of people. It's about people in positions to influence things. And right now we have conservatives in all of those positions. Listen to Nikki Fried and other Democrats. Thank you, Ann. We know, appreciate it. They talk about, quote unquote, Tallahassee being broken. Do you know what that means when the Democrats say that? When the Democrats say this area is broken, what that really means is they haven't been able to put people in place to cheat. Meaning they've been busted. And conservatives have gotten a spine and said, no, we're not going to let you do it. Even their own polls, even their own liberal polls that they're trying to use to influence, show the governor up by 12 points. And I tell you what, exactly right. Sea air, the water. I don't even get to the beach all that much. But I'm, 7-8 miles away here in Palm Coast? If that, maybe not even that. Maybe 4 or 5 miles away. But there's still something about it. Once in a while, some days, even this far away, I will get a sense of the salt air. And believe me, in Florida, even if you live in the deadest part of the middle, you're still only a couple hours away from the water. It's an absolutely gorgeous place. It truly is. Weeki Wachee is just one of the. There's other springs too, and some of the names are like super long. Loxahatchee, I think, is another one. So, I guess I will, let you guys go and get about your day because I've got things I got to do here too. So anyway, thanks for hanging out on the live. I appreciate it. If anybody out there is just worried about, gosh, what if I go to Florida and this happens or that happens or this other happens? Take the leap of faith. Homosassa, Loxahatchee, right? Take the leap of faith. Trust me on this. You will never regret moving to Florida. You will never regret it unless you're a liberal, unless you're a Democrat. So it does. It takes some guts. It really does. It's tough. Do your homework. Get a plan. Make a plan. But if it's just an apartment, if it's just renting a room, get down here, establish residency, get your Florida ID, and just let one day become 2 days, 2 days become a week become a month, and begin stringing it together. And before you know it, things will start to work out. Yep. This Richard Rigg took the leap. Glad he did. 35 years. A lot of people. Funny story. I'll leave this with a funny story. Back when I was driving for Uber years ago, I had a woman, get in late at night, and I was taking her from St. Augustine back to her hotel down South St. Augustine. And so she's talking to me like this, right? And she's telling me all these stories about how much she enjoys Florida, and she's got this really thick Brooklyn accent, somewhere up in New York accent, right? And so just as I'm getting ready to drop her off, I said, "So where are you from?" And she's like, "Fort Lauderdale." And I just about lost it. And I'm like, "Fort Lauderdale?" She's like, "I lived here for 25 years. You know," and she was clearly just one of those New York transplants that had come down here and had been down here for, a quarter century, but she still had her, New York, persona, her New York vibe going on. And, people listen to me talking and say, "Well, you don't talk like a Southerner." Well, that's true. My mother was born in Florida, but I wasn't. And there's a lot of people down here that weren't born in Florida, but they've become Floridian. And there is a difference. A lot of people think it's an overstatement, but the way things are going now, guys, Florida is becoming, and really truly is right now, its own republic. Just like in the years prior to the revolution, in the 1750s and the 1760s and 1770s, early 1770s, this country was in effect its own country. An American nation. So, and believe me, the heat, it depends on where you live with the heat. Right now, it's what? Let me look. What is it? Right now, it is 76 degrees out at 11:40 a.m. where I'm at. It's 76 degrees. And yeah, in the summertime, it gets kind of hot. But like I said, I was born and raised in northern Indiana, and I played football up there. And we went out and practiced and had 2-a-days when it was in the mid-90s. So, anyway, I'll leave it there. God bless. Everyone have a great week. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys a little bit later. And tonight on Twitch.